Hi everyone, my name is Ashley and I'm going to be making another family recipe today. What I'm going to be making is pasties. They're amazing and this is a family recipe that's been passed down. Okay, here we have all the ingredients we need to make pasties, and we start out with 1 pound of ground beef, 4 carrots, 4 potatoes, 1 large onion. We have salt and pepper, and then we also have butter. And then we need the ingredients for the crust, which will include 1 cup of Crisco, 2 2/3 cups of flour, salt, and 7 to 8 tablespoons of ice water. Okay, one of the first things we want to do is preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Okay, so we'll want to start by putting the ingredients in a bowl. So we want to add in 1 pound of ground beef, which we can see here. Okay, one of the first things we're going to want to do is grate the 4 large carrots, just pretty simply. Okay, so you're going to want to grate all 4 of those carrots, much like this. So here we're going to want to take our mixture of carrots and we're going to want to add these into our bowl. Alright, so as you see here, I now have the ground beef and the carrots in there. Our next step will be to peel the potatoes. So we'll want to peel all 4 potatoes. So it's pretty simple, just use your peeler to peel all of them. So the next thing we're going to want to do is chop up these potatoes. So we've peeled them all, so now we'll want to chop them up here. Okay, so we'll just want to take one at a time. This is the way I find easiest to chop them, is to just kind of cut them in thin squares and then go from there. But then you can just chop them until it gets into fine squares. Once you have the potatoes all diced into tiny squares, as you see here, I've just been adding them to this bowl. You'll want to add them to the main bowl with the carrots and the ground beef already in it. Okay, so as you see, we have the ground beef and the carrots, and here we have the potatoes, and so we're just going to add the potatoes into the ground beef and carrots. So we'll set this aside. And the next thing we want to dice up into tiny pieces is a full onion. And first we're going to want to take the skin off it and then cut the entire thing up. So as we see here, we have the full onion and it's all peeled. So now we're just going to want to cut slices out, and then we're going to want to dice this up into tiny squares. So as you see here, we diced up all the onions. As you see here, we have our bowl of onions and our bowl of potatoes, ground beef, and carrots. So we're just going to add the onions to that bowl. So now we've added the onions to that mixture. Okay, so once we have the meat and the carrots and the potatoes and the onions in the bowl together, before we mix it, we're going to want to make sure we add some spices. So we've got some pepper here. This is kind of, you kind of add the spices to your liking. So, if you like a lot of pepper or a lot of salt, go to town. And if you don't like a lot, then just keep it easier there. So salt. And then I'm also going to put in some Lori seasoning salt. Okay, and then you're going to want to just mix it all together. Now comes the fun and messy part. Make sure your hands are washed. You just wash mine. And then you want to mix the ground beef, the carrots, the onions, and the potatoes by hand. So you just want to reach your hands in the bowl and mix it. And you just want to do this until everything's kind of evenly distributed. So now you can see that's kind of what it looks like when it's all mixed up. So it's all kind of evenly spread throughout the carrots, the ground beef, the onions, and the potatoes. So we're just going to set this bowl aside now, and we're going to start making the crust for the pasties. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is add 1 cup of Crisco. So I already have the cup ready, so I'm going to add it to this bowl here. Okay, so now we're just going to put this in the bowl. So once we have that all in there, we need to add just a dash of salt, so not a lot, just maybe like half a teaspoon for people who need an exact measurement there. So next we want to add in 2 2/3 cup of flour. So we've got 1, 2, and then you want to do about 2/3 of a cup, which I'm just going to kind of eyeball, but if you want to actually grab a third of a cup and put 2 of those in there, you can do that as well. So we've got about 2/3 of a cup here. Okay, so now we've got the flour, the Crisco, and the salt all in this bowl, and you're actually just going to want to start mixing it by hand until it gets into like little pea-sized clumps. We also need to start adding the ice water, which is here, and we just want to add that kind of slowly. We want 7 to 8 tablespoons in here. So we'll start with our first tablespoon of water here. Oops, tried to get the ice cubes. Pour it all over, and then just keep mixing. So that's one. And see, it's getting more just like little pieced out kind of there. Just keep mixing and adding your tablespoons of water. Here's 2. Okay, and I mean, it keeps just breaking up into like little pea-sized pieces, and that's exactly what you want it to be doing. Tablespoon number 3, 4. You can see it just keeps getting more and more like those pea-size. 5. Now we can see here the dough starting to get a little more clumpy and a little thicker, so that's what we want to do. That's why we add the water really slowly. Okay, and now we see it's clumping together a lot more. 7. Okay, and now you see we really have it clumped together. So now we'll start mixing it out here on the surface, and we'll put some flour down and roll out some pasties. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is break the dough up into 4 separate balls like that. Okay, and then as you see here, I've got 4 balls about equal size, and we'll start making the pasties. Okay, so now when we want to put the dough out, we just need to sprinkle some flour on the counter or whatever type of surface you are doing this on, and you want to make sure you have a rolling pin. And then we want to grab out one of the 4 balls. Make sure this is well floured. And then we just want to kind of slowly roll it out. Okay, so once you have it all rolled out, you want to grab your meat and potato, carrot, onion and seasoning mixture, and you want to grab about a cupful out, so about that much. And then what we do is we put it right in the middle here, and that just kind of helps shape it. So then you just want to kind of push it down and really shape it. Just like that. So you just want to put a little bit of butter just right on top, just like that. Okay, and then you want to just very carefully fold it over so that you almost make like a little pocket. And this also is where more ice water will come in handy. You can just kind of wet the sides and then push down the pastry. That helps kind of make a pie type edge on it. Okay, and you just want to push it down all the way around, and then kind of fold the sides over if you can, just like that. And sometimes if you wet your fingers a little, you can really kind of seal the crust around there. There you go. And our first pasty. You want to cut about 5 holes in the top, so just cut them really thin. And you can kind of see how that was done there. So there's our first pasty, and you're going to want to place this on an ungreased cookie sheet. And I'm going to use the help of a spatula to get this on the cookie sheet. Just because they are pretty fragile. But there you go. There's my first pasty. So we'll make 3 more of those, and then I'll show them to you before they go in the oven. Okay, so as you see here, we have the 4 made pasties, and now we'll put them in the oven. Okay, there we go. Now we have the oven still set to 400. Here we have the finished pasties. So what you're going to want to do is cook those at 400 for about 40 minutes. Here we have the insides.